Antarctica has one secret we never suspected it of having. The ice-covered continent has not gotten attention often from scientists and archaeologists due to the huge chunks of ice characterizing the region, standing as an obstacle for discoveries. However, this same ice seems to be what has preserved an entire advanced civilization for thousands of years until it was discovered by scientists recently.
There have been a number of reports of pyramids, huge great pyramids in Antarctica.
Now, what the fuck is it doing on a map drawn in the 1500s, which we know was based on older source maps when nobody knew it existed in the 1500s? To me, the obvious answer is we are dealing with the fingerprints of a lost civilization.
What kind of advanced civilization was discovered, and what did scientists learn about them? Join us as we explore this sudden discovery of an advanced civilization hidden in Antarctica. The possibility of advanced civilizations living in our world has always been debated, with the proof of unimaginable structures found by scientists and archaeologists. These are constructions like pyramids and huge temples big enough to have been constructed by giants. Monuments like this have always been fascinating due to how they are built and how such an edifice was constructed with no power machines that helps today's construction workers in their activities. For you to know how grand these buildings are, thousands of years after they were built, our modern world had to name not one but two of these pyramids as part of the world's 7 wonders. Although most pyramids are known in Egypt and Mexico, there are more pyramids worldwide. This includes the one recently discovered in Antarctica. It seems strange that an icy continent like Antarctica has a pyramid. Still, with what has been recently discovered, there is a huge load we haven't uncovered completely about Earth's entire history. Antarctica is currently known as a region covered in ice, but did you know that this continent was ice-free? Yes, Antarctica was more like the plain lands which had people settling and living in regions. Suddenly, the Ice Age period came forth, and that left the continent frozen for millions of years to date. But before it was frozen, people were aware of Antarctica. It was even named on maps that date as far back as 1513. However, one tiny detail that complicates Antarctica's discovery is that it's not the period documented in the history of Antarctic explorers. Could this be how the ancient civilization in Antarctica hid from the world? According to the history of Antarctic explorers, Antarctica was sighted for the first time in January 1820. That was what we believed until a German theologian named Gustav Deissmann found an ancient map in 1929. Gustav was working at the Topkapi Palace Library in Istanbul when he discovered a gazelle skin parchment among a stack of discarded items. This gazelle skin parchment was a map from 1513 drawn by a Turkish cartographer named Hagi Ahmed Muaddin Piri, also known as Piri Reis. This man served in the Turkish Navy where he was an Ottoman admiral, but he had a passion for cartography. Although only 1/3 of the map survives, it was inspected and treated specially because the Piri Reis map depicts the western coasts of North Africa, Brazil, and Europe with immaculate accuracy. In fact, several Atlantic islands like the Canary and Azores Islands can also be seen in the map, including the mythical island of Antillia and probably Japan. However, this is not even the mystery. The mystery lies in how a continent said to be discovered in January 1820 is drawn on a map that dates back to 1513. Based on the data recorded from history, Antarctica was discovered in the last week of January by Thaddeus von Bellingshausen, who reported the incident by noting that he saw an ice shore of extreme height while he was on a Russian expedition to the Antarctic. Before this advanced civilization was discovered, there had been rumors going around about a hidden city in the region of Antarctica. However, not everyone paid attention to it, but conspiracy theorists never gave up on their discoveries. They were even backed by scientists who noted that the freezing continent of Antarctica houses the legendary lost city of Atlantis. Another scientific theory was also culled by scientists, where they came forth with a theory named crustal displacement. This scientific theory supports the 1513 map about Antarctica being ice-free at a point in time. The scientists' theory even took it a notch higher, as they stated that not only was Antarctica ice-free, but it was also home to an ancient civilization. The theory suggested further that movements in the Earth's crust signified that huge parts of Antarctica were ice-free 12,000 years ago and people could have lived there. This theory, together with Piri Reis's map, explains how a society could have existed in prehistory before coming to an end with the last ice age, which froze the continent. So this could have been the city of Atlantis, which is known as a mythical city founded by people who were half god and half human. The city of Atlantis was initially talked about by the Greek philosopher Plato in 360 BC. For Plato to talk about this, then what are the odds of it not being correct? After all, the Piri Reis's map confirms it. And we are not only building a point on an accurate map that dates as far back as 1513, but even the National Aeronautics and Space Administration confirm the signs of an advanced civilization present in Antarctica. These are traces of a human settlement found underneath the Antarctic ice, and they were taken with remote sensing photography for NASA's Operation Icebridge mission to Antarctica. And now, aside from NASA's discovery, images from Google Earth showed a pyramid poking out of the ice, and that was proof that humanity once lived in the area and even constructed a man-made structure. At one point, scientists believed that the United States government was already aware of this discovery and was trying to hide it from the public. Archaeologist Jonathan Gray claimed that the US government is trying to stop the video from being broadcast because it reveals there is a massive archaeological dig underway 2 miles beneath the ice. But while these discoveries and the theories about this pyramid in Antarctica made rounds over the internet, not everyone believed the story. Other people kept proving their theory that an ancient civilization was responsible for the pyramidal structure. A set of individuals even included the possibility of aliens being involved in these constructions, because how was such a huge edifice built? However, a simpler explanation points to a far more mundane cause of this pyramid-looking structure. Using Occam's razor, some scientists propose that the steep pyramid-like sides are probably the work of hundreds of millions of years of erosion. This is just a mountain that looks like a pyramid, Eric Rignot, a professor of Earth Systems Science at the University of California, said. Pyramid shapes are not impossible. Several peaks partially look like pyramids, but they only have 1 to 2 faces like that, rarely 4. The Pyramidal Mountain is one of the large peaks that make up Antarctica's Ellsworth Mountains. It was discovered by American aviator Lincoln Ellsworth, according to a 2007 research paper published by the U.S. Geological Survey. Specifically, this mountain is located in the southern part of the Ellsworth Mountains in an area called Heritage Range. This region is known for its incredible fossils, including those of Cambrian period trilobites from over 500 million years ago. Although the mountain isn't that tall by planetary standards, it stands a little less than 1/5 the height of Denali, the tallest mountain in North America. Regardless, its one-of-a-kind pyramidal shape sets it apart. Mary Pelto, a professor of environmental science at Nichols College in Dudley, Massachusetts, confirmed this in a statement. Pelto continued further, saying that it could be a freeze-thaw erosion that probably caused its pyramid-like shape. This occurs when snow or water fills up cracks within a mountain during the day. When it's nightfall and temperatures begin to drop, the snow freezes and expands, turning into ice as a result. The expanding ice then causes the cracks to grow, Pelto said. This freeze-thaw erosion happens countless times, leading to the creation of larger cracks that can eventually cause entire rock sections to break off. He said these forces likely also shaped other pyramidal mountains, including the Matterhorn in the Alps. 3 of the mountain's 4 sides appear to have eroded at about the same rate. It suggests, since it came out so evenly, that the rock type is fairly uniform, Pelto said. You don't have any rock layers that are harder to erode. In other words, the nameless mountain is likely all one rock layer, Pelto said. It's not a very big mountain, so it's not that surprising. However, the mountain's eastern ridge is decidedly the family's black sheep. Instead of descending downward like the other ridges, that 4th side extends east, rising towards even higher terrain. The erosion probably wasn't as equal as on the eastern side, he said. Pelto added that although some news outlets are saying that the mountain is just discovered, that's very unlikely to be the case. There's a research base for climate scientists south of the mountain in an area known as the Patriot Hills. You can actually probably see this mountain from up there in the Patriot Hills, Pelto said. But even if we say this pyramid in Antarctica is said to be a mountain indeed, what about other proofs and evidence of structures built by ancient advanced civilizations? To give you an insight, let's examine the complex geometric architecture discovered in a Neolithic temple. This complex geometric architecture was seen in the massive Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built 6,000 years before Stonehenge. This dashing 11,500-year-old complex is the earliest known temple in humanity's history. It is also one of the most important discoveries of Neolithic research because it was constructed by hunter-gatherers. What makes the complex strange to modern-day archaeologists is that this building's construction appears too technical for the builders that constructed it. This structure is so magnificent that despite its old age, it still attracts archaeologists worldwide. Even the researchers at Tel Aviv University and also the Israel Antiquities Authority, a part of the people fascinated by the structure, were also determined to study it. One of these people analyzing the Göbekli Tepe is Professor Avi Gopher of Tel Aviv University's Department of Archaeology and Ancient Near Eastern Civilizations. Professor Avi Gopher appreciated the wonder of this structure as he said the following in a statement: Göbekli Tepe is an archaeological wonder built by Neolithic communities 11,500 to 11,000 years ago. It features enormous round stone structures and monumental stone pillars up to 5.5 meters high. Since there is no evidence of farming or animal domestication at the time, the site is believed to have been built by hunter-gatherers. However, its architectural complexity is highly unusual for them, he concluded. Since Göbekli Tepe was founded in 1994 by German archaeologist Dr. Klaus Schmidt, the ancient temple has always been a topic at the forefront of hot archaeological debate. But while these and other early Neolithic remains have been intensively studied, the issue of architectural planning during these periods and its cultural ramifications have not. Most researchers have made the case that the Göbekli Tepe enclosures at the main excavation area were constructed over time. However, Hackley and Professor Gopher say 3 structures were designed as a single project and according to a coherent geometric pattern. The complex layout is characterized by spatial and symbolic hierarchies that reflect changes in the spiritual world and social structure, Hackley explains. Our research used an analytic tool and algorithm based on standard deviation mapping to identify an underlying geometric pattern that regulated the design. This research brings about important information regarding the early development of architectural planning in the Levant and in the world, Professor Gopher adds. It opens the door to new interpretations of this site in general and of the nature of its megalithic anthropomorphic pillars specifically. Certain planning capabilities and practices, such as the use of geometry and the formulation of floor plans, were traditionally assumed to have emerged much later than the period during which the Göbekli Tepe was constructed, after hunter-gatherers transformed into food-producing farmers some 10,500 years ago. Notably, one of the characteristics of early farmers is their use of rectangular architecture. This case of early architectural planning may serve as an example of the dynamics of cultural changes during the early parts of the Neolithic period, Hackley says. Our findings suggest that major architectural transformations during this period, such as the transition to rectangular architecture, were knowledge-based, top-down processes carried out by specialists. The most important and basic methods of architectural planning were devised in the Levant in the late Epi-Paleolithic period as part of the Natufian culture and through the early Neolithic period. Our new research indicates that the methods of architectural planning, abstract design rules, and organizational patterns were already being used during this formative period in human history, Hackley concluded. Still, that doesn't cement the fact that an advanced civilization did not live on Earth at a particular point in Earth's history. Archaeologists have uncovered an unprecedented network of lost cities in the Amazon that shed light on how ancient civilizations constructed vast urban landscapes while living alongside nature. Researchers used LiDAR technology, also known as lasers in the sky, to scan the entire tropical forest canopy. They also checked sites discovered in the savanna forest of southwest Amazonia. They uncovered a wide range of intricate settlements that have laid hidden under thick tree canopies for centuries in the Llanos de Mojos savanna forest in Bolivia. The findings also revealed more secrets about cities constructed by the Kasarabe communities between the times 500 AD and 1400 AD. Heiko Prumers, an archaeologist and study co-author from the German Archaeological Institute, said the level of complexity in these settlements is mind-blowing. The site also comprises an unexpected display of elaborate and intricate structures unlike any previously discovered in the region, including 5-meter-high terraces spanning 22 hectares, the equivalent of 30 football pitches, and 21-meter-tall conical pyramids, say the scientists, including Jose Iriarte from the University of Exeter in the UK. Researchers checked 6 areas within a 4,500 square kilometer region of the Llanos de Mojos in the Bolivian Amazon that the Casarabe culture owned. They also found a large network of reservoirs, checkpoints, and causeways stretching several kilometers, which made the latest findings challenge the view of Amazonia as a historically pristine landscape. Scientists say the region was instead home to early urbanism created and managed by indigenous populations for thousands of years. One of the most fascinating features of the new discovery, researchers say, is that the urban settlements were constructed and managed not at odds with nature, but together with it. We propose that the Casarabe culture settlement system is a singular form of tropical agrarian low-density urbanism, to our knowledge, the first known case for the entire tropical lowlands of South America, scientists noted. They say that the indigenous populations employed successful, sustainable subsistence strategies that promoted conservationism and maintained the rich biodiversity of the surrounding landscape. We long suspected that the most complex pre-Columbian societies in the whole basin developed in this part of the Bolivian Amazon, but the evidence is concealed under the forest canopy and is hard to visit in person, Dr. Iriarte said. Our LiDAR system has revealed built terraces, straight causeways, enclosures with checkpoints and water reservoirs. There are monumental structures just a mile apart, connected by 600 miles of canals, long raised causeways connecting sites, reservoirs, and lakes, he explained. Scientists say the discoveries can significantly contribute to perspectives on the conservation of the Amazon. This region was one of the earliest areas inhabited by humans in Amazonia. It was a place where people started to domesticate crops of global importance, such as manioc and rice, but little is known about daily life in the early cities built during this period, Dr. Iriarte said. The analysis from LiDAR showed that the core of the settlements spread over several hectares, on top of which lay civic ceremonial U-shaped structures, platform mounds, and 21-meter-tall conical pyramids. Crucially, scientists say the scale of labor and planning to construct these settlements has no precedent in the Amazonia region. It is instead comparable only with the archaic states of the Central Andes. The findings postulated that the indigenous populations changed Amazonian seasonally flooded savannas almost the size of England into productive aquacultural and agricultural landscapes. Our results put to rest arguments that western Amazonia was sparsely populated in pre-Hispanic times. The architectural layout of Casarabe culture and large settlement sites indicates the inhabitants of this region created a new social and public landscape, Mark Robinson, another co-author of the study, said. The findings provide evidence of successful, sustainable subsistence strategies and a previously undiscovered cultural ecological heritage, researchers say. The scale, monumentality, and labor involved in the construction of the civic ceremonial architecture, water management infrastructure, and spatial extent of settlement dispersal compare favorably to Andean cultures and are to a scale far beyond the sophisticated, interconnected settlements of southern Amazonia, Dr. Robinson added. These sophisticated and complex ancient civilizations will always be a huge topic of debate in the world of archaeology because while we explore the buildings left behind by the civilizations, we still don't seem to uncover all the truth about how they were built and who built them. However, do you think advanced civilizations were one on the face of the earth, or are these buildings just a result of regular man-made construction? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.